I never thought family could carve out your soul with a syringe, but that's exactly what my sister Lila did to my little girl, Lily. Sucked the life right from her brittle bones for a shot at eternal youth. In that sterile operating room in downtown Chicago, under the hum of fluorescent lights that buzzed like angry hornets, I watched the monitors flatline on everything I held sacred, and in that split second, I decided blood wasn't thicker than the vengeance screaming in my veins. Call it maternal instinct gone feral, or the kind of American rage that simmers in traffic jams and erupts in courtrooms, but I grabbed the scalpel from the tray and pressed it to her throat before the anesthesiologist could even blink. Not to kill, oh no, that'd be too merciful, but to etch a promise into her perfect skin. You stole from my blood. Now I'll drain yours dry. It started 6 months earlier, back when life in our cramped Wrigleyville apartment still felt like a gritty indie flick. Me, Ruby Harlan, 42 and scraping by as a barista at that overpriced spot on Addison, slinging lattes to Cubs fans nursing hangovers and heartbreak. Lily was my everything, 8 years old with those freckles like cinnamon sprinkles across her nose, and a laugh that could cut through the din of the L train rattling overhead. She'd been diagnosed with aplastic anemia the year before, a thief in her blood that turned her pale as printer paper and left her napping through playground afternoons. Chemo had failed. Transplants were a pipe dream on my waitress tips, so when Lila swooped in like some Botoxed guardian angel, offering to foot the bill for Lily's experimental treatment at Northwestern Memorial, I didn't question it. Sisters stick together, right? That's the Midwestern gospel we were raised on. Cornfields and casseroles, loyalty forged in the Rust Belt chill of our Gary, Indiana childhood. Lila was the golden child, always had been. 10 years my senior, she clawed her way out of our trailer park purgatory to become a pharma exec in the Loop, rubbing elbows with suits who lunched at Gibson's and summered in the Hamptons.
Me?
I was the screw-up who got knocked up at 19 by a bassist who ghosted faster than a Bears playoff run. But Lila never lorded it over me. Not outright. She'd send care packages of Hannah Anderson dresses for Lily, Venmo me rent when the bar cut hours, even fly us out to her Lincoln Park penthouse for girls' weekends that ended with Lily asleep on Egyptian cotton while Lila and I split a bottle of Napa Cap, whispering about Mom's old Valium habit and Dad's mill accident that left him a ghost in his lazy boy. "We're all we've got, Rubes," she'd say, her manicured nails tracing the rim of her glass, eyes glassy from whatever cocktail of Ambien and ambition she was on. I believed her. God, did I believe her? The procedure was supposed to be routine, Lila pulling strings for Lily to get into a cutting-edge trial using donor stem cells to regenerate her marrow. "It's the future, sis," she'd gushed over FaceTime, her face pixel-perfect against the backdrop of Lake Michigan glittering from her high-rise window. "Think of it as investing in our family legacy." I signed the waivers without a second read, too desperate to parse the fine print. Lily bounced into the prep room that morning, her four-porta badge of bravery under her My Little Pony tee, chattering about the ice cream they'd promised post-op. I held her hand through the mask, kissing her forehead salty with fierce sweat, whispering, "Mommy's right here, bug. We're beating this monster today." But as the hours dragged into a vigil in the family lounge, me chain-smoking menthols out back despite the no-smoking signs, scrolling TikToks of other moms with miracle kids, doubt started gnawing like a bad burrito from the corner taqueria. Lila hadn't shown. She texted some bullshit about a board meeting running long, but when I called, it went straight to voicemail. By evening, when the surgeon finally emerged, his scrubs speckled with something that wasn't sweat, my stomach twisted into a knot tighter than the Dan Ryan at rush hour. "Ms. Harlan," he said, voice clipped like he was reading from a script, "the harvest was successful, but there were complications." Complications? Lily was in recovery, stable but weak, her tiny body racked with fresh tremors. They wheeled her out, tubes snaking like accusations, and I collapsed beside her bed, stroking her hair that smelled of antiseptic and innocence lost. That's when I saw it. The donor match report peeking from her chart, stamped confidential. Lila's name glared back at me, not as sponsor, but as donor. My sister, with her flawless complexion and gym-toned arms, had given bone marrow to my kid. But why the secrecy? And why did the extraction volume read double what any protocol called for? I confronted her that night in the parking garage, rain slicking the concrete like oil on water, my nurse's scrubs for my side gig at the ER still clinging damp to my skin. She pulled up in her Audi Q5, all sleek lines and entitlement, stepping out in Louboutins that clicked like gunfire. "Rubes, honey," she cooed, umbrella blooming over us like a false truce. "It's done. Lily's going to be fine. Can we not make a scene?" "A scene?" I spat, shoving the printout into her chest, the paper crumpling against her silk blouse. "You donated? Without telling me? What the hell, Lila?" Her laugh was a shard of glass, sharp, then shattering into something almost pitying. "Oh, come on. You think I'd let our niece, sorry, your daughter, suffer when I could fix it? It was a small price. A little prick, some bruising. Nothing compared to what you've been through." But her eyes darted to the shadows, and I caught the faint tremor in her hand as she adjusted her collar, revealing a fresh bandage peeking above her collarbone. Bruising? That looked like a war zone under there. I let it slide, or tried to. Gratitude's a hell of a blindfold. Over the next weeks, Lily rallied. Color bloomed in her cheeks like she'd mainlined sunshine, her energy spiking enough for us to hit the Lincoln Park Zoo, where she chased ducks while I snapped pics for Lila's anti-updates. My sister visited twice, bearing Gucci backpacks stuffed with organic snacks and iPads loaded with PBS Kids, but each time, she'd hover at the edges, excusing herself to take calls that left her pacing the hallway, voice a hiss into her phone. I chalked it up to work stress. Pharma world's cutthroat, after all, with mergers and FDA scandals bubbling like Lake Michigan in a storm. But cracks spiderwebbed. Lily started complaining of phantom pains, like bees in my legs, mommy, and her blood work showed anomalies, elevated markers that the docs dismissed as adjustment. Then came the night I found Lila's pill bottle in Lily's toy chest, half empty. A custom stem cell booster, black market stuff whispered about in ER break rooms, used by celebs chasing the fountain of youth. The label was doctored, but the pharmacy's stamp matched one near Lila's office. My gut roiled. Had she repurposed the harvest? Siphoned extra marrow for her own vanity cocktail? I drove to her penthouse at 2 a.m., the city a blur of sodium lights and honking taxis, pounding on the door until she yanked it open in a silk robe, hair a Medusa tangle. "Ruby, what the fuck? It's the middle of the night." "Explain this," I snarled, thrusting the bottle at her. Her face drained, ironic, given the theft, and for a heartbeat, I saw the girl from Gary, the one who'd shared her last Snickers bar when Mom locked us out for quiet time. Then the mask slammed down. "Fine," she hissed, yanking me inside, the door slamming like a guillotine. The living room was a shrine to excess, Warhol prints glaring from walls, a bar cart glittering with top-shelf scotch, skyline views mocking my shoebox life. You want truth? That trial? It wasn't just for Lily. It's dual purpose, regenerative for kids, cosmetic for adults. I optimized the yield. A little more for me and boom, enough for both. She got her cure. I got a tune-up. What's the harm? The harm? My voice cracked like thunder over the lake. You drained yourself extra for Botox in a vial? That's not sisterhood, Lila. That's parasitism. Her eyes narrowed, that exec gleam flickering. Parasitism? Please. I've bankrolled your mess for years. Lily's meds, your rent, that piece of shit car you drive. This is payback. Collateral. You think beauty's free in this town? Look around, Rubes. It's survival. I stormed out, the elevator descent a freefall into rage, but doubt clung like humidity. Was she right? Had I been the leech all along? No. Bullshit. Family doesn't commodify kids. Weeks blurred into a tense detente, awkward texts, stilted brunches at Wildberry where Lily smeared pancakes oblivious to the undercurrent. But Lily worsened. Fever spiked, bruises bloomed unprovoked, and the docs scratched heads over. Rejection echoes. One evening, as I rocked her through chills in our apartment, the radiator clanging like a death knell. She whispered, "Auntie Lila said I'm special 'cause I share with her." Like trading stickers. My blood iced. What the hell had my sister told her? I hacked Lila's email that night. Guilty as sin, but desperation's the master key. Password was our old dog, Buster, sentimental fool. Buried in deleted folders. Contracts from a shady biotech firm in Silicon Valley promising youth serums derived from pediatric donors. Emails to her wellness guru detailing the supplemental harvest. Lily's marrow, not hers. The donor match?
A lie.
Lila had swapped charts, positioning herself as the source, while siphoning from my kid under the guise of treatment. The volume discrepancy? She'd aspirated double from Lily, funneling the excess into her own foredrip during a consult, masked as family visit. My daughter, my fragile, trusting girl, reduced to a black market elixir for my sister's vanity. Betrayal hit like a freight train through the loop, deep, derailing, the kind that shatters your compass. But secrets fester. Digging deeper, I uncovered the why. Lila's career teetered on a scandal, falsified trials, whistleblowers circling like vultures. This beauty boost. Her Hail Mary to charm investors at a Davos knockoff, projecting vitality to seal a merger. And the crime I'd borne? Years ago, when Dad died bankrupt, I confessed to forging his will, falsely claiming an inheritance to cover Lily's birth costs, taking the fall so Lila could start fresh without the family stain. She'd sworn it even, coached me through the plea deal that tattooed felon on my record, barring me from better jobs. All for her clean slate. Now, she flipped the script on my blood. Enough. I planned in whispers, over diner coffee and sleepless scrolls through revenge porn, metaphorical, the dark web forums where scorned siblings swap schemes. No guns, no bombs. That's Hollywood. This was Chicago raw. Leverage, exposure, the slow bleed of truth. I gathered dossiers, emails, pharmacy logs, even a bribed orderly's affidavit on the swap. But Lila smelled it, her text turning barbed. Careful, rubes. Skeletons rattle both ways. The climax brewed at Lily's follow-up, a routine scan turned ambush. Lila insisted on coming, for moral support, her smile a shark's gleam. As Lily wheeled into imaging, I cornered her in the lounge, the TV droning Fox News about some political shitshow, fitting backdrop for our family implosion. "You think you're untouchable?" I murmured, voice low as the AC hum. "I know everything. The swap, the serum, the lies." Her laugh was champagne fizz gone flat. "Prove it. And even if you do, Lily needs me. My money, my connections. Cut me out and watch her crash." Twist of a knife. She was half right. Without Lila's insurance umbrella, we'd be bankrupt. But morality's no balance sheet. "Then we'll crash together," I said, pulling the flash drive from my pocket, dangling it like a noose. "Unless you confess. On record. To the board, the feds, Mom's grave." Her face fractured, rage then cunning. "You destroy us all? For pride?" She lunged, not violent, but a grab for the drive that ended with us grappling over the coffee table, magazines scattering like confetti at a funeral. Nurses glanced, but in a city hospital, drama's white noise. That's when Lily's scream echoed from the hall, monitor alarms blaring. We bolted, finding her seizing on the gurney, ducks swarming like bees to honey. Contaminated cells, the lead barked. "The donor batch, it's rejecting hard." Donor batch. Lila blanched, and in that electric pause I saw the flip, not just vanity but sabotage. She'd tampered post-harvest, lacing the remainder with a suppressant to ensure her youth dose, pure, dooming Lily's infusion. Meticulous monster. As they stabilized her, I turned to Lila, the scalpel moment crystallizing. Not literal, not yet, but the vow. "You're done," I whispered, pocketing the drive. "Immediate action starts now." The fallout from Lily's seizure was a hurricane in slow motion, Chicago PD swarming the ward like they were busting a South Side chop shop, questions flying thicker than lake-effect snow. I played the shattered mom card flawless, tears streaming genuine as a South Water Market flood, while Lila hovered in the corner, her exec poise cracking like thin ice on the Chicago River. I had no idea. She lied to the detectives, voice a tremolo of faux concern, but her eyes flicked to me, pleading, begging, for the sisterly pact we'd buried with Dad. Fat chance. I'd already texted the flash drive to a PI buddy from my ER days, a grizzled ex-cop named Mick who moonlighted digging dirt for divorce courts. Burn her. I typed, simple as ordering deep dish from Lou Malnati's. Lily pulled through, again, stabilized with emergency transfusions that left her a pincushion of bruises, her eyes huge and haunted in that pick-a-bed, machines beeping a dirge. "Did I do bad, Mommy?" she mumbled through the oxygen mask, tiny hand clutching my scrub sleeve. "Auntie said sharing makes you pretty inside." My heart shredded, rage congealing into something colder, sharper, a Midwestern winter in my chest. "No, Bug," I soothed, kissing her knuckles raw from needles. "Auntie was wrong. Some shares are steals." Discharge came with a barrage of follow-ups. Hematologists scratching beards over the anomalous rejection, social workers sniffing for neglect in my double shifts and eviction notices. Lila vanished post-interrogation, radio silent except for a single Venmo, $5,000, labeled for Lily's care. That felt less like amends, more like hush money. I cashed it anyway. Pride's a luxury when your kid's tallying copays like Pokemon cards. Mick called 2 days later from a burner, voice gravel from too many old styles. "Your sister's a goddamn Hydra, Ruby. Heads everywhere, offshore accounts in the Caymans, Shellcore peddling that stem cell snake oil to Beverly Hills housewives. But the real kicker? That merger she's chasing? It's with a firm knee-deep in opioid kickbacks. She's the whistleblower's nightmare, flipping docs to bury evidence, same as she flipped Lily's chart. Opioids. The word landed like a sucker punch to the gut. Mom had OD'd on Oxy 6 years back, chasing the dragon Dad's comp check couldn't slay, and I'd cleaned the trailer, scrubbed the stains, lied to the coroner about accidental overdose, to spare Lila the scandal when she was gunning for her first exec gig. I'd borne that sin too. Forged the pill log to make it look like suicide, not negligence, while Lila jetted to conferences, toasting fresh starts. Now she peddled the same poison, repackaged as regenerative therapy, her beauty serum just the glossy facade for a racket that hollowed out families like ours. Vengeance sharpened. I wasn't some Lifetime movie vigilante. This was calculated, the kind of grudge that festers in Reddit AMAs and brews over craft IPAs at dive bars. Step 1. Leak to the press. I anonymized the docs, fed them to a Sun-Times stringer-eyed comped lattes to during slow shifts. Concerned nurse, byline. Headline screaming, Pharma Princess pushes poison pills on pediatric patients. It dropped digital Friday, going viral by happy hour, Twitter, sorry X, ablaze with Lila lies, soccer moms and MAGA uncles piling on in equal fury. Lila's response was a masterclass in flip-flops. First, a tearful IG live from her penthouse, makeup artfully smudged, pleading, smear campaign by a jealous sibling. She painted me the villain, unstable single mom, felon felled by poor choices, leeching off her success. Comments flooded. Family first, hun. Cut the toxic branch. Wait, she stole from a kid? Lock her up. Polarizing perfection. Readers split like a divided Congress, debating blood versus betrayal over brunch mimosas. But she countered sly, lawyers circling like lakeshore gulls, cease and desist emails pinging my inbox, threats of custody battles that'd paint me the unfit hag. Think of Lily, her attorney drawled over a cold call, Ivy accent dripping disdain. Your record, your instability, easy win. I hung up, palms slick, but Mick had dirtier laundry. Recordings of Lila coaching underlings to incentivize docs with stem cell perks, echoing the opioid playbook. I doxed the audio to a whistleblower subreddit, watching shares spike like Bitcoin in a bull run. The tension ratcheted at Thanksgiving, forced by mom's ghost, or maybe masochism. Lila's penthouse table groaned under turkey from Jewel Osco and sides catered from RPM steak, Lily wedged between us like a human DMZ, her new buzz cut hidden under a beanie as she mashed sweet potatoes. "Pass the gravy, Aunt Lila," she chirped, oblivious, and my sister complied with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, her skin glowing unnatural, that damned serum at work, erasing lines I'd earned from laugh lines and Lily's fevers. Small talk curdled quick. "Heard about your little exposé," Lila murmured as Lily dashed to the powder room, wine glass dangling from manicured fingers. "Petty rubes. You always were the dramatic one." "Dramatic." I leaned in, fork stabbing the bird like a voodoo doll. "You vampired my daughter's Marrow for a facelift. That's not drama. That's Dracula in stilettos." Her laugh tinkled, but her knee bounced under the linen. Tell of the schemer cornered. Hyperbole much? It was consensual. Waivers signed, benefits mutual. Lily's walking proof. Consensual? She was 8, doped on versed. And mutual? Your benefits are wrinkles deferred. Hers are nightmares and needles. I slid my phone across, screen aglow with the latest lab. Lily's counts tanking again, rejection waves crashing. Your tampering's killing her, slow-like. Poetic, ain't it? Youth eternal for you. Borrowed time for her. The flip came swift, denial to deflection. Prove intent. And even if you need me, that leak? It's why the trial docs ghosted you. No coverage, no meds. We're tethered, sis. Burn me. You immolate us all. Tethered. The words stuck like gum on my soul, because damn if she wasn't right. My felon tag barred loans, jobs with benefits. Lila's shadow funded Lily's scripts, the rent that kept CPS at bay. But chains chafe. As pie steamed untouched, Lily returned, plopping a crayon drawing on the table. 2 stick figures, one with a crown, holding hands over a heart. "For us," she beamed. "Family forever." Lila's eyes softened. Genuine? Or thespian tears? She hugged Lily tight, whispering endearments that twisted my gut. Controversial calculus. Was she monster or merely monstrous, a product of the same meat-grinder childhood that spat us out? Gary's Mills shuddered, Mom's pills, Dad's despair. We'd both armored up, but hers was Gucci Kevlar, mine thrift store tin. Post-feast, as snow dusted the magnificent mile below, Lila cornered me on the balcony, city lights winking like conspirators. "Truce," she offered, extending a joint, her vice, pilfered from some tech bro gala. "I can fix Lily. Real fix. Off-books trial, no strings. But you pull the leaks, bury the drive." Smoke curled between us, acrid as regret. "What's the catch?" "None. Just family." Her voice cracked, and for a flicker, I saw the flip again. Vulnerability masking venom. But Lily's laugh echoed from inside, chasing snowflakes at the window, and I exhaled, passing the joint. One chance. Screw me, and I go nuclear. Relief washed her face, but as she turned, I palmed her phone from the railing, slight from our triage days. By midnight, homebound on the red line, I cracked it, text to her fixer, plotting to spike Lily's cure with placebos, buying time to discredit me via anonymous tips to family services. Sabotage squared. The schemer unmasked, flips exhausted. Immediate action escalated. No more leaks, direct strike. I rallied Mick and a hacker chick from his network, a tattooed millennial named Jax who lived on Monster and Malice. We traced Lila's serum supplier to a warehouse in Pilsen, murals glaring like judgmental saints. Midnight raid, not armed, but armed with cameras and warrants Mick acquired via old badges. Inside, vats of amber fluid, labels screaming experimental, donor logs listing kids like Lily, inner-city innocents, harvested under community outreach cons. Footage gold. Lila's face on security cam, overseeing a shipment, her signature on falsified consents. We uploaded anonymized clips to X, tagging FDA and DOJ, the thread exploding into a bonfire. Pharma parasite trending from coasts, pundits on CNN decrying capitalism's cannibal cure, while Fox spun it woke witch hunt on job creators. Polarized paradise. Readers rioted in replies, some hailing me hero, others decrying siblings' smear for clicks. Lila's empire crumbled overnight, board ousting her in emergency Zoom, stock plunging like the Dow in '08. She called at dawn, voice slurry with scotch and sobs. "Ruby, please. It's over. I did it for us. The money, the legacy. To lift us from that shithole. You took the fall for Dad. I thought this balanced the scales." "Balanced." I laughed, bitter as black coffee. "You tipped him, Lila. Stole from the weakest to gild your cage. Then finish it. Ruin me." A pause, heavy as humidity. "But Lily? She's collateral. My contacts, they'll blackball her care. Think Rubes." The decision loomed, controversial as a Trump rally in Hyde Park. Mercy or massacre. Forgive the flip-flopper who'd borne our shared sins, or avenge the deep cut. Lily stirred in her room, murmuring in sleep, and I hung up, resolve hardening like concrete in a winter pour. The week's post-leak were a pressure cooker on high, FBI suits knocking at my door with subpoenas that smelled of Lila's desperation, offering immunity if I'd flip on her network. I stonewalled, playing the grieving Andy to their good cop nods, but inside, the churn was relentless. Lily's fever cycling like the L's loop, my shifts doubled to cover the meds Lila's truce had promised but never delivered. Wrigleyville felt smaller, suffocating, neighbors whispering behind bodega coolers. That Harlan chick? Her sister's the Marrow thief. Controversy clung like cheap perfume. At the bar, tips dried up as patrons side-eyed my name tag, debating over IPAs whether I was avenger or opportunist. Lila went dark, penthouse dark as a blackout, her socials scrubbed to echoes. Rumors swirled via mixed pipeline, holed up in a Gold Coast Airbnb, lawyered to the hilt, plotting countersuits that'd paint me the mastermind, jealous hag framing kin for a payout. But her flips caught up, a junior exec, conscience pricked by the viral vids, spilled to feds about the donor swaps, corroborating my drive. Indictments loomed like storm clouds over the lake, charges stacking, fraud, endangerment, even trafficking in biologics. I should have felt vindicated, but revenge is a hollow high, tastes like ash on the tongue after the first rush. Lily sensed it, her kid radar pinging my shadows. "Mommy sad, cause Aunt Lila gone?" she'd ask, crayon portraits of us three now just two, the third a ghost with a frowny face. I'd hug her close, inhaling the baby shampoo scent cutting through hospital funk, whispering, sometimes grown-ups need space to fix their messes. Lies, all of it. The mess was marrow deep, irreversible. The climax crashed on a sleet-lashed December eve, Lily tucked in with Vicks and Storytime, me nursing a microwave burrito when the buzzer screamed. Mick downstairs, face thunderous under his socks cap. "Your sister's staging a scene. At the hospital. Now." We peeled out in his unmarked Crown Vic, wipers slapping rhythm like a heartbeat, sirens whooping as we blew reds through River North. Northwestern's ER glowed like a beacon of bad omens, cop cars clogging the lot. Inside, chaos incarnate. Lila in the atrium, disheveled diva in a Burberry trench, haranguing admins with a megaphone, yes, a goddamn megaphone, ranting about corporate cover-ups and sibling sabotage. "My niece was saved by my sacrifice," she bellowed, drawing a crowd of gawkers, phones aloft live streaming the meltdown. "This woman's lies are killing kids, real kids, not her drama." Polarization peaked, murmurs rippled. Is she the villain or the victim? Sounds like white-collar welfare. I shoved through, McFlanking, heart-hammering like a jackhammer on pavement. "Lila, enough." I barked, snatching the megaphone. It crackled dead in my grip, her eyes locking mine. Wild, wounded, the Gary girl peeking through the wreckage. "Rubes," she gasped, mic forgotten, lunging into a hug that reeked of Chanel No. 5 and defeat. "Help me. They're coming, the feds, the press." I flipped it all. Testified against the board for leniency. "But you started this fire." "Started?" I wrenched free, voice echoing off tile. "You lit the match when you stuck that needle in Lily. For what? A glow-up to schmooze sharks." The crowd hushed, cameras zooming. the moment ripe for memification. Her lip quivered. Performance? Or fracture? It wasn't just vanity. The serum. It was for Mom. Her Alzheimer's research, repurposed. I thought if I nailed the merger, funding would flow. Cures for all of us. You, me, Lily. Redemption. Twist knifed deep. Partial truth, or masterful misdirect. Mom's decline had haunted us. Lila funding trials I'd never afford, guilt gnawing her edges. But the logs lied. Shipments went to spas, not labs. Still, the ambiguity hung, forcing the split. Was she schemer supreme, or flawed fixer, her flips frantic paddles against the current? Cops moved in, cuffs glinting, but she twisted toward me one last plea. Take it back. The drive, the leaks. Say it was fake, sibling spat. For Lily. The decision teetered, controversial as Roe in a red state. Expose the lie, seal her doom, risk Lily's care in the crossfire? Or swallow the serpent, preserve the family fiction for my girl's sake? Sirens wailed outside, feds inbound, the atrium a tinderbox of tension. In that suspended breath, Lily's face flashed, bruised, brave, and I chose. Not mercy, not massacre, but the gray grind of America, accountability with a side of grace. No, I said, soft but steel. You own this, Lila. But I'll testify truth, all of it. Your flips, your falls. Maybe the judge sees the girl from Gary, not the Gorgon. Her sob broke free as they led her away, heels scraping tile, the crowd erupting in a cacophony of cheers and jeers, heroes and villains blurring in the flashbulbs. Mick clapped my shoulder. Bold play, Harlan. Risky as hell. Back home. Lily stirred as I slipped in, snow melting off my boots. Mommy? Was it Aunt Lila?
Yeah, bug.
But tomorrow's ours. I curled beside her, the city humming lullaby beyond the frost-laced window. Trial came swift, spring thaw melting the indictments into pleas. Lila copped to fraud and endangerment, her testimony torching the pharma cabal. Opioid enablers exposed, mergers nuked. Sentencing, 5 years white-collar at Alderson, with restorative programs for the donors she'd drained. Controversial cap. Community service post-release, funding real trials for kids like Lily. No one won clean. Op-ed pages brawled. Justice or just us? Readers cleaved, debating if vengeance vindicated or vilified. For us, bittersweet epilogue. Lily's counts stabilized on a public grant Mick pulled strings for, her laughter echoing stronger through summer block parties, chasing fireflies in Grant Park. I clawed a nursing cert, felon forgiven via Lila's coerced letter, slinging shifts at a clinic that felt like home. Lila wrote monthly, letters postmarked federal ink, apologies laced with that old scheming spark, hints of appeals and comebacks. I burned half, saved half, reminders that blood binds, even when it betrays. Was it happy? Tragic? Hell if I know. In this American grind, hustle and heartbreak, Cubs curses and comebacks, revenge isn't fireworks, it's the slow rebuild after the blow. Lily thrives, I survive, and Lila? She's out in 2 with good behavior, flipping pages in a new chapter. But if she crosses our threshold, eyes on my girl, immediate action awaits. Scalpel sharp.